We're back to the warehouse for the third Blitzball battle. Loser could be in danger of missing the playoffs? Ruh-roh. Let's talk Blitzball. Welcome to the Blitzball Boys, the podcast about Blitzball and boys, but mostly about Blitz Boys. I'm your co-host, Brendan Ruppel, along with my fellow host, Peter Del Rey.
Hey, that's a new one. It's not always. It's either usually Blitzball or boys. You just going off the script.
It's a deep cut to episode 2. I stumbled over my words and said both. So true fans have heard some version of Blitz Boys before.
Wow,
so,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I hope people are keeping stats of what we do say here, just like we're keeping stats for the warehouse games.
Yeah, somebody's doing what I do for the warehouse games.
And it's just for stupid things we say.
But very intense game today. I think you're always going to get that for a loser. So I hope you got your cup of milk.
I don't know if there's ever going to be a game in this tournament that I would forget my cup of milk for. This one I might have even added a little bit of chocolate syrup. I love chocolate milk. I don't know if BTS likes chocolate milk, but they better try it.
Never had chocolate milk. Never.
Are you allergic to chocolate?
No, this is just something that we find out. Whether it's on the Hoppy Boys or it's here, it's just what was
one of those strange things
for the Hoppy Boys? Was it smoothies or was it milkshakes? I haven't had either of those. Yeah, I haven't had either of those until like last year. And
you have some famous for having stomach issues. You would have thought it would be something relating to that, and it's just something you just missed the boat on.
It was something like it was a texture thing. So when I was a kid, like I hated drinking milk. Mm-hmm. So I was like, chocolate milk, that's just milk with extra steps. I'm out. So
makes sense. Okay.
But yeah, back to Blitzball.
I don't know if we even got there yet.
We got there. Good game.
Great game, maybe. We've been pretty high on all the games. I don't know if there's been a bad game yet. I think the way they set up these games purposefully makes it so that almost every inning is really important. And it's very smart of them. Great layout. Let's rip a burn and get into it.
Go for it.
Okay.
Boing.
Well, Game 6 is an 0-1 team matchup, so by the end of these games, could easily be called either Hookline Stinker or MacFlurry Shower. Colin Stoner says he prefers alcohol to weed today because he gets to take a solo shot to right field to start the offense for MacFlurry Power. Hookline Sinker comes to bat down by 2 with some work to do. They work the bases loaded for struggling Dan Canobio, who says, two-seamer, I barely know her, and absolutely cranks one off Colin, showing his fortitude. Mr. Davis is back on the mound and looks to finish out this game just as they drew it up. He puts his body on the line, making an amazing play to rob a single along with any hope of a rally from MacFlurry. Drew finishes out the inning with full confidence, striking out Stone to end the game. Hookline Sinkers 4, MacFlurry Power 2.
I think it's really funny that as you were giving the Drew finishes the inning with full confidence, that's right about where it sounded like you were losing confidence.
I lost it because I stumbled. I wrote these words.
Pure irony. I loved MacFlurry Shower. I really loved that. That was really funny.
Some things just write themselves, you know?
They do.
They really do.
What a fucking game. Like I said before, man, these loser games are so intense, obviously. I feel like it's something that doesn't need to be said. But they're so intense. There were so many moments where, again, it's going to sound lame to say, but I had to remind myself to breathe. Because I'm like, it's a fake tournament with people who you've never met before.
Right.
Why are you nervous about this? But I was.
Because you feel like you get to know them. It's you get to know them even more than you do like an MLB team. It's like Jimmy said in the Yankees, the breakdown today. It's like half reality show. And the reason why you watch reality shows is because you feel like you get to know these people. It's like when you're listening to podcasts all the time, they become your friends. These people, to us, feel like friends. And that's why you get so sunken into it. The only thing that could make this game a little bit more dramatic would be if this was the other 0-1 game, and this one had already finished, and they know they had to get a certain run differential. That's the only thing with higher stakes, maybe. But this one, there's only 2 teams that are going to be 0-2, so you better be scared to be one of them.
I mean, I think some part of it also was the fact that you had two guys here who really needed to redeem themselves in Colin
That too.
and Drew. And I feel like for Drew, it's a bit harsh to say he needed to redeem himself. He needed to redeem himself for his own sake, because to him, it feels like he left that first round being like, "You're the fucking worst player in the tournament."
Even though he literally hit a home run off Trevor Plouffe.
Right.
And he was looking. The first half of the game, he looked like he was going to be an up and comer.
But I mean,
end of this game, he is.
Start to this game, he was not fantastic.
No. I mean, but so on that, so Colin Sloan hit a home run, and he was one of the players you were saying that needs to turn it around. That one made me scream louder than Dan Canobio's home run, because I just wasn't expecting that at all. And
spoilers!
That pitch, hopefully they've watched it, and they're not psychopaths like your friend that just listens to our podcast and doesn't watch the show.
Wow! And he texted me today saying that you were so funny too, and now you've made an enemy out of him.
I called him a psycho.
Unbelievable!
It's really funny. We love him. Eric is his name.
We love you, Eric.
Love you, Eric. So Colin Stone's home run was off. Honestly, a really good pitch. Like, I replayed it a couple times to see what it was and where it was. And it was just it was like a rising fastball. It was about to be dotted on the outer left corner, like low and away. It was a great pitch. And I thought maybe the only reason why Colin Stone hit it that hard in that spot was because Drew had been going there over and over again. But he had been kind of all over the place. So for Colin to be looking out there and just smacking one in that spot and so hard to right field was just really, really impressive. I think it's more credit to Colin Stone than it is like an indictment to Drew.
Yeah, I mean, Colin was swinging out of his fucking shoes, man.
Well, especially after that too. I think I read in your notes too that he had like a lot of swings over 100 miles per hour. I think he started swinging harder after the home run too. He's like, I got it, babe. I got the juice.
No, because even in the first at bat, he had one that was like 109, 107, something like that. But he was swinging out his shoes the whole game.
Yeah,
which
is not what I would want to be doing.
Pitcher.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be doing that knowing that I didn't get any hits last game either. But it worked out. He hit a nice home run. Yeah, but Jimmy himself has proven that you don't necessarily have to hit the ball really hard or swing really hard to be effective in this game.
Yeah, you have to swing the ball extra hard.
Really, really hard. I can't imagine how far that back wall is. Like, it looks pretty close to home plate. Like, I don't know how many feet.
Probably at least 7 feet.
I was gonna say somewhere around 6 feet.
It might be like around 5 feet.
Okay, I'm looking at it now. It looks like maybe it's closer to 4 feet.
Realistically, I want to know how far it is because it is interesting.
The mound is 47 of Jimmy's feet. So I wonder how many of Jimmy's feet it is to the back wall. So I want to say it's because it definitely looks closer to the wall than it does to home plate, the back of the mound. So I would say maybe it's like only 75 feet back there. I don't know. Well, let us know.
We'll find out eventually, or we won't.
Yeah, I'll be expecting John Boy in my DMs to let me know the exact footage of his feet and how far it is.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John Boy, for the information. So that's first inning, Colin Sloan home run.
Cranked.
And Dan Canobio doesn't have his best stuff, but still is making K-Mac look foolish, like so foolish.
I mean, the big thing is that K-Mac didn't have his best stuff. Very, very clearly. You're talking about consistently one of the better batters in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And it's not like he did bad. He just was very un-K-Mac-ish. Mm-hmm. Where you were hearing it in the first inning, right? Where he's talking about how well he's seeing the pitches. He's describing exactly how they're moving. He's describing, to Colin, like, oh, just wait, this one's going to, and then just to see him get, 3 strikeouts in this game.
And luckily he walks on that one at bat where he swings twice at ridiculous pitches, one of them that hits him. If he struck out on that at bat, it would have been like, K-Mac looks awful this game. But I think he eventually does get a hit off of Dan Canobio. But I think he mentioned even in the pregame show, like, I'm the one that told Dan I can't see him. So he's not wrong for saying that. It's just that lefty-lefty. It must be really tough.
I mean, he was saying he saw the slider pretty well. He just couldn't see the fastball, which is wild to think about.
Yeah. I mean, remember in Roulette where Dan Canobio just burst on the scene and was like, hey, watch this. I'm a lefty who will throw straight fastballs. And not a single person could touch any of it.
Yeah.
So when he can locate, I think he is a real force to be reckoned with. So if they move on deep into this tournament and Dan Canobio I can see them being a dark horse if Dan C really locates that, because it doesn't have much rise, but it's got a little bit of dart to the left.
Yeah. Dan City.
Yeah, I think that could be really useful, especially if he keeps up his power stroke.
Yeah. I mean, the big story of this first inning is that Drew looked completely dejected so early on. He gave up back-to-back homers, essentially. I know they're two different games, but it's two appearances.
Yeah.
The last two batters he faced, Trevor walking him off, first batter this game, Colin hitting a home run.
And to him, he's a pitcher first.
He's a pitcher first, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that really matters to Drew, because to Drew very much seemed like he had the mindset of, don't give a fuck who's in front of me. I'm mowing him down.
Right.
And then just two back-to-back in the warehouse where Drew has been historically dominant.
Yeah.
Just really kind of sucks for him. He's super dejected. You saw Dan was giving him a pep talk at one point, like as if it's a boxing match.
Yeah.
It he gets him. He's like, hey, you got to fix your body language, because that's the first place where all this is going to turn around.
And then that's something that only Dan Canobio would point out too, which is really cool to see that. And it didn't, like you said too, it didn't work out right away, because the next pitch he clocks Colin in the head. Right. But I mean, that's one pitch just got away from him. I don't think that had anything to do with his attitude. But I think it did translate to later in the game, because the second inning, even at bat two and the second inning, it looks angrier than anyone's ever seen in the warehouse before. Like, looks in a murderous rage, yeah.
Yeah, Drew looked terrifying. Yeah. Drew was so angry. It was nuts.
It worked.
I've never seen somebody so serious.
He was getting pissed. He was about to like fucking scream after every walk he took too.
He wanted to hit so badly.
He wanted to hit somebody.
But yeah, no, you see like Dan Canobio goes into Papa Dan mode.
Yeah.
And says,
you forget how old he is. He really doesn't look that old.
He's 57.
I just saw that on my sheet. Sold.
But like he talks to Drew as if he's a father coaching a son out of like a when the son gets in his own head. Because say my brother used to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Every time my brother was a pitcher, and every time he would have trouble in the first inning, my dad would be like, "We got to calm him down, or else this game's over." Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Dan was trying to do there, because he's Papa Dan. And he's never not been.
Sometimes people don't want to hear that either, so it's good that it ended up working out in the end, because a lot of times like that son scenario, you just said I could see the kid being like, "No, screw off, Dad."
Let me tell you something, Brendan. From my eyes, whatever Dan said, Drew was not getting any of it. He was in such a deep hole that only he could pull himself
Probably
out.
Doesn't even remember that Dan came up to him.
Dan came up to him and said that stuff about you need to fix your body language, because this is where the first like step of defeat is. And all Drew was like I can't find the zone. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Drew was not listening. Drew was like, there's one person who could pull me out of this, and it's me.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And then Hookline gets up to excuse me. Hookline gets up to the plate. And obviously Dan says, "You know what, young Drew, I'm going to put this team on my back." This is after, letting up a home run, walking in K-Mac.
Yeah.
They come up. I'm on the edge of my seat, because like I said, it's like, okay, you've now backed the injured animal against the wall.
Yeah.
Let's see how they respond. Are they going to lay down and die, or are they going to fight back? And it's like, obviously the boxing guy fights back, gets a grand slam to put them right back in the lead. It's the first time that you see Drew kind of shed this dejection and just get into super happy mode as he's jumping around.
because that's almost as good as you can do in that inning. Because like, the max is 5, so you've almost maxed out your like just. I'd be so hyped, and it's amazing how even after they're up 4, he continues to get on base and is still annoyed. Like he wants to like finish the inning. He wants to like put a stop to this and just like let me put up another one just so we can. It will have been me that flipped over the inning. He just wants to put a stake in it.
And it was off Colin too. So then that's what brings up Chris Rose talking about like, hey, it's been really interesting that we've seen the ace pitchers in this tournament get hit around. Like you see Drew, you see Colin.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think from the other games, but I can't right now.
I guess Jack technically lost the game for We Got Ice recently, but
Jack,
I think it was said in that episode it wasn't his fault.
Nicky didn't have a great performance his last game.
Yeah, getting touched up a little bit.
You know, Jimmy didn't have a great performance his first game. Mm-hmm. So it's true. These quote-unquote aces,
like the number ones of their team,
are not performing the way that we were coming to expect them to. But in a kind of sick way, it makes for a better watch.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because now you're sitting there going, oh, how are they going to get themselves out of this one? How are they going to, turn this around when their fail-safe, quote-unquote, isn't there? They don't have that safety net.
Yeah.
Yeah. MacFlurry Power doesn't have that safety net of Colin. How are they going to get out of this? Hookline didn't have that safety net of Drew until the second inning. How are they going to work this out? And then we saw them work it out by getting a grand slam off of the MacFlurry Powers quote-unquote ace.
Yeah. You need a 2-person deep team or else you're not going to go far on this.
Yeah, we've been saying it this whole time.
Mm-hmm. That was the point of the rules.
This whole time. So and then, Colin gets out of that nightmare of an inning by striking out Drew, who was just really like itching to hit. And he was just swinging at things, I think, because he wanted to get a piece of one.
Yeah, which I don't is definitely not the way to go. I mean, luckily they're already up 4, but the fact that we noted, like as an audience, that you were looking antsy at the plate and then go up there just swinging at everything, I don't think that's the right way to go about that at bat. And it worked out, obviously, but everyone could tell how much he just wanted to put the ball in play. So that's maybe it's a little bit of youth that was getting to him. But a couple things before we move on to that last inning, I want to touch on Dan Kenobi a little bit and his hitting. Even before the home run, I feel like his big problem in this tournament in general is just how much he's been moving his feet around. Like I watched him take his cuts, and his back foot moves like a fucking bowler behind it. He shouldn't be moving around that much. Like but his swing path looks awesome. Like he's got that beautiful lefty swing, and even on that home run, it just happened to land in that happy zone for him. But his swing looks so gorgeous. But he's like in a totally different place in the batter's box from start of the swing to the end of the swing.
I don't know how he does it. He stands so far off the plate. It's crazy. I think in his first at-bat against K-Mac, he swings the bat. Mm-hmm. I think it was the first and second pitch. He swings the bat, and at the end of his swing, which didn't seem like he was pulling it in or pushing it out or anything, just a normal swing, the end of the bat did not cross the end of the strike zone. And I was like, oh, my God, the whole strategy for Dan Kenobi was just pitch him outside and hope to clip the edge because he's not swinging out there.
Right.
He's not standing close enough in the plate to hit it. And then,
which is why
what happens later on that inning.
Exactly, because
hits a 4-run bomb.
Colin Stone is pitching him just inside. And, like, sure, the pitch works if you miss inside and even just, like, maybe hit the pipe inside. But that pitch is moving towards his barrel, and he's got that happy lefty swing zone. And he saw that pitch one too many times. He kept doing the same thing. He was like pretty clear what his plan was. And even though that pitch was probably maybe would have piped, but it was looking like it was going to be out of the zone, it was still low enough and inside enough where that was exactly where Dan wants it. And again, like repeating pitches over and over again, inside to a lefty that has an inside lefty swing, I think was just a bad pitch selection and not the worst execution. But I think if he got that pitch maybe at the top of the zone, it would have been easier because I think that jams a batter a little bit more if you get it up and in. But the low and in is like right there for Dan. I wasn't even that surprised by that home run because I was like, I see he fouled one off like straight back. Two pitches later, grand slam.
Dan's
So good
Dan's
adjustment
a
by Dan.
danger.
Yeah.
Huge, great adjustment.
When he finds that, if people don't learn how to pitch to him, he's got such a home run stroke in that ballpark.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that went against. There's a lot of things that went against MacFlurry power in this game. Obviously, struggles at the plate, but at the same time, it was struggles on the mound where Colin couldn't put it together as well as he did last year. Towards the end of the first inning, K-Mac kind of lost it on the mound as well. You know, it really stinks.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that happen to anybody. But, man, did it make for such... Like, I think if Hookline were to have scored 5 runs in the first, the second inning would not have been as intense or exciting.
Just that one run would make a huge difference.
Exactly, because you're talking 2-run game is,
and they just scored 2 runs before.
2 swings.
Yeah,
2 swings, 2 runs are easy.
And people in this game are known to walk a lot of batters too, so they could fill up the bases pretty quickly, and then just like a couple of hits makes it tied.
Exactly. 3-run game, completely different story. It's the same as
and
like
3-1 just puts more pressure on you too. Even if you know you can get there, it just like it puts a mental spin on it that's tough to get by.
Because think about it, right? Even if one person's off, one person's on in a 2-run game, you know, go ahead, strike out. Don't care. I'll get up twice.
With the 3 outs now, yeah.
Exactly. I'll get up twice. We'll get our 2 runs back. 3-run game, it gets more nervy. So you go into this second inning with, you know, you're seeing Drew is struggling on the mound. Drew still needs another out.
Yeah.
Dan is, you know, they call him Old Man Dan. So his shoulder is ready to go at any moment. You don't know, like, if he doesn't get another out, will he get one? Because so it's all nervy. Everything's lining up for a MacFlurry power comeback. And then, second batter, Drew comes in, faces Colin. Colin's had his number the whole time. Colin hits a little dribbler up the right, off the wall. Dan Canobio's on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Drew hauls ass.
Like scrambled that to like a little squirrel.
Gets it behind him, catches it clean to get the out, and at that point, Drew's switch goes...
We're done.
He goes, I'm fucking fantastic.
That's how I felt as an audience member, too.
Drew.
It's like you see him... So there's man on first, no outs. And if that hits the wall, that becomes now first and second, no outs. That's a totally different spin on the game than 1 out, 1 on. Like 1 out, 1 on, you don't have a rally yet. But 2 on, no outs, you've got something cooking here. Like literally just a 1 swing wins the game. But now like you feel like you still have to scratch and claw with one guy on. It's such a different feeling.
I've been so conditioned to thinking, oh, once a ground ball hits the wall, that's a hit. Just because you've seen how violently it comes off the wall and how hard it is to control, or like it just goes off at such a speed that it blows past whoever the defender is. So just to see this play, because the ball wasn't moving slow. Ball was still moving pretty fast.
Yeah.
Just to see
Drew, it's not the slowest we've seen.
It's the best defensive play we've ever seen in the warehouse, I think.
Yeah. We've seen some other like pop-up catches that have been like Jack has had some pretty crazy catches, but this one was just, like, such a different play than we've ever seen here. And that was like definitely the most athletic catch we've seen. That
was when the game was over. At that point.
That lost all momentum for MacFlurry power.
K-Mac and Colin were like, holy shit, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
Then you have Dan and Drew. Drew comes, he's like, I'm done. This is it. Comes up against K-Mac, starts throwing more aggressively, which is what he didn't do in the last one.
Yeah.
Gets him to strike out. Then he stays in for Colin, which I thought was interesting because I thought they might have gone back to Dan because
I can see
of
even
the
Dan
whole thing.
like,
But Drew said, no.
In. He's like, no.
Yeah, I'm staying hot. Colin wasn't scared. Swung aggressively at that first pitch. And then eventually, which is, he wasn't scared, swinging aggressively first pitch, which is really poetic because the last pitch froze him, and he looked at strike 3.
So,
Hookline came back. Hookline came back in a big
Yeah.
way. And I want to see how they carry this over to the playoffs, because now they're locked
Yeah.
into the playoffs, right?
yeah, looks like it. I want to briefly get into Drew Davis's pitch selection in these final 2 at bats too. He really seemed to find location in general, because his main pitch is that sinker, and he's got 2 arm slots for it. He's got the one that's straight submarine, like straight up and down, and one that's a little bit off to the side. Same pitch, just the different angle makes him move in different shapes. But he really found the sinker to go below the zone to both hitters. Just it didn't matter, as long as it looked like it was gonna hit the bottom and then just dropped below it. That was where he kept finding that spot over and over again as a chase pitch. And then the one that he wanted to hit the zone was the straight up and down sinker, where he would throw it looking like it was going to go high, and it would sink right to the top of the zone. And that combination of like looking like it's going to be above the zone and dropping in, and then the one that looks like it's going to hit the bottom of the zone and then drops out, that like eye level change is such a good combination. Like, that's a really smart pitcher right there.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I mean,
Really
Drew's
cool
been
to
doing
watch.
this for years.
So I mean, I'm sure he's wanted to do it all tournament long, but like like you said, when that switch flipped, I think he finally locked in and was able to execute what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
It looks
Awesome
really
to see.
Yeah,
I love a good redemption story.
even like mid game too. It's awesome.
It was you saw it switch, and he went from this whole serious face to intense face, which there's a fine line in between those
Yeah.
2 types of faces, right?
Yeah.
But man,
I mean,
good for Drew. Good for Dan.
I said you could even call this the tale of two Drews.
Oh, come on. I was going to do it later, Brendan. That's what this game was. The game was a tale of 2 Drews.
Was that going to be like an award or something later?
No.
Like a special.
I was going to
one-time
bring it
award?
up later, though.
Okay. cut
But,
that.
But no, let's just go into it.
Okay.
Right?
So this is
you're good. You're done talking about the game as much as you want. As much as you
Oh
can?
no, I do have 2 things I want to mention.
Go.
This
You're
is something I
taking the
want.
wind out of my sails,
I want
Brendan.
to do. Yeah, that was purposeful. There's a new segment, not a segment, but like something we need to hit on every episode we haven't been yet. And
Okay.
these are jokes of the episode from the booth, either from Peter Moreland or from Chris Rose, because they have been killing me all episode, all tournament long. And there's some subtle ones that really got me in this one. So Peter Moreland wins this week's joke of the episode
Okay.
by saying that Chris Rose was a swinger in St. Lucia during Jake's wedding. I don't know if you caught that.
I did catch it.
Because it was kind of quick, and I like sometimes with his accent, I don't catch everything he says if he says it too quickly. And I rewinded a couple. I was like, "What?" Like, oh, I see what he's saying. And I love that Chris was just like, "Shut up." That was funny. And then there was a pitch that hit K-Mac in the calf that Chris Rose was like, "If that ball hit
If it was
Storiali
Jake,
in the calf, it
ball
would
would have
split in
exploded."
half."
Yeah.
They're both killing me. Love the two of
They
them.
were
Great
funny.
duo. Yeah.
They were very funny. Okay, you could take those.
Okay, good.
I'll stick to the real notes,
Okay.
and you could stick to your favorite jokes of the episode.
It's a big part of the tournament.
It's a big part of the tournament.
Okay.
Which I'm
next-
surprised you don't watch the post games. They're full of it.
I always forget. I've watched all of them except for last week's and this week's. I'm sorry. I'm dropping the ball.
You're dropping the ball. Blitzball. Haha, got it.
Ooh.
Okay. Player of the game. Oh, player of the game.
Player of the game.
I thought we were doing the noise after I said it.
Oh, here we go. We're learning as we go.
Well, Brendan, you could say the player of the game should be Dan Canobio because he did get the 4 RBIs. He got that big
You could
grand
say
slam. But this is where it was going. Because the game was a tale of 2 Drews,
Well, where have we heard that before?
I'm going to give it to Drew Davis.
Wow.
I'm a big story guy, right? And just the fact seeing Drew Davis go from as sad as you could be, giving up this home run to Colin Stone.
Then it's angry as you could be.
to as happy as you can be, again, very poetically, striking out Colin Stone at the end and getting that ground ball from a Colin Stone hit. The story just had a beautiful beginning, middle, end. Has to be Drew Davis.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Great. I love
You
it.
got anything else to say about it?
No, well, it kind of leads into my play of the game because I'm not giving it to Dan Kenobi either. I'm giving it to Drew for that awesome, like we said, that was the best catch we've ever seen in the warehouse. I love seeing like that was so different. I've never seen someone like some people are slipping around in this tournament on these floors, and he just turns around and just jolts after this ball, dives, catches it. It looks pretty clean too. Like didn't look like he bobbled it at all. He just went after it and grabbed it like a ground ball behind him, like just before it hits the wall, snags it. I think that was. I mean, of course, Dan Kenobi's home run was very impressive, very cool. But this was
Very
something
impressive.
that was
Claps.
very claps. But just an otherworldly warehouse play. Way to go, Drew.
Yeah.
Just to cap off
A
that
pure
thing I coined about the tale of two Drews.
Tale of Two Drews, which I coined.
Coins also have two heads.
Two heads to every coin. Everyone knows this. Pure instinctual movement by Drew. He didn't think about it. He
He's just
threw
like,
it,
I'm getting
ball
that
got
ball.
hit.
Yeah.
He was, before the ball was hit, he was already standing in place. No, before, like,
apparates over
right
there.
when the ball got hit, it was, I feel like, for me, my instinct is run to where the ball is. And to him,
He like I know
his
it's going to be over
instinct
here.
was
I see.
run to where it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it was perfect in every way.
It's almost like
He
he was
runs-
tracking a fly ball, like same kind of mindset.
Exactly. But if you're tracking this fly ball, you still have to jump backwards. It's a diving catch when you're diving towards the wall.
These are not like soft floors. They're warehouse floors.
What? They're not soft?
I sleep in a warehouse floor, but that's a personal choice.
How many warehouses have you been to, Brendan?
Just the one I sleep in.
There's a lot of warehouses, and they're all soft.
I got the one hard one.
You got the one. You got the one.
Shit. Who sold me this? Oh well.
But yeah, good job, Drew.
Good
We
job,
love
Drew.
it. We love that
We
you
love
came
it.
back. Brendan's a very big hook, line, sinkers. He says that if they didn't win, he would stop watching the tournament. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. I would have shut the shit down.
Brendan would have shut this shit down. But yeah, great game.
We have
MacFlurry really put them
Oh.
in a really shitty place.
So we can say
They put
officially that
themselves
they
in a shitty
are
place.
Mac Hurry Shower.
You could say that, but I'm not laughing at it this time because you stole my Tale of Two Drews. But they put themselves in a really bad place because if Baggage wins by 5, or if Pinstripe Strong wins by 4, they're automatically out. And then if Baggage wins by 4, Pinstripe wins by 3, they send MacFlurry to a tiebreaker, which we don't know. I don't believe we know what the tiebreakers are. I think we only know third tiebreaker is bases.
Okay.
Excuse me, total bases. So they're in a precarious position.
Yeah. Not where they want to be.
Unlike the two teams for the next game, which is Como and Forgotten Rotten,
Really just, I guess, trying to get one seed.
trying to get one.
So
seed,
I guess,
yeah.
is this previews now?
Preview.
I don't know what this button is. Damn it! I should know by now. The laugh button. Or did we decide that's actually canon? We use the laugh button for previews? I forget.
No, the laugh button.
It's for something else.
The laugh button, I think, was for play of the game.
Oh, yeah, that might be true. Okay.
But we're never going to follow through with that. Forgotten Rotten versus Como. Next game.
I think
I don't know.
Como's
After watching this, I kind of feel like there's no stakes because who cares? This sounds terrible. Who cares who's the number one seed?
Like seeding doesn't really make. I don't. I think if you're in, you're in. Other like
I want to see someone cry.
you're gonna. We want to see crying.
We want crying.
We want a lot. I want every single team to cry. I want the audience to cry in the
I want
warehouse.
the audience to cry.
I want Chris Rose to cry.
Wow.
I just out of like happy tears though.
Oh.
Maybe like an onion. Who knows? I feel like
Chris Rose just cooking dinner for everybody.
he's got a little hot pot. Como is going to take this one, in my opinion, and it's not going to be close. I think they're going to make
Wow.
Forgotten Rotten look bad. I think they're going to jump leaps and bounds from last episode, and they're going to take another step in the right direction and realize, okay, we got our feet wet in this warehouse. We know what we need to do. We understand the pitch radar now, and we're going to see this ball really well off of Dan, and maybe even Trevor's gotten touched up a little bit. So I think these two professional blitzball hitters.
Rust.
They're shaking off their own rust too. They're back in their element now that they're getting adjusted to the pitch speed. So I think they're going to run away with this.
Unbelievable. That's disrespectful, what you just said.
It's
was
kind of my
disrespectful. I also think that Como's going to win, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as much as you are saying. I think
first blowout of the tournament.
They're going to win, Brendan. They're going to win, I think, 4-3. Trevor's hitting 2 home runs.
Wow. I mean, I'm very down to watch a Trevor power shower. Like I want to see him just
Trevor Plouffe's power hour.
And he's actually getting drunk while he does it. I would love to see him just like, I don't need another player. Like I hate to keep saying that Dan Rourke is not a player, but like in comparison to this MLB player, Dan Rourke, again, like maybe the least talented in the tournament. So
Brendan.
if you have to pick somebody, I'd say it's Dan Rourke, and that's why they paired the best with the worst. It makes sense. They want to take a championship away from them. They can't let them go 4 in a row, or 3 in a row rather. Well, so I would like to see
I guess
Trevor.
Forgotten Rotten won this year.
I'd like to see Trevor Plouffe just be like, I don't care if I don't have my buddy. I'm gonna take it home anyway. One man show.
Do you think if they lose the game and then get eliminated from the tournament, Trevor screams as loud as he can?
I think so. I think we can count on that.
Only one way to find out.
He takes Dan Rourke's head, opens his mouth, and screams into his mouth.
Screams into his mouth?
Yeah. And that's the last bit of footage from Blitzball Battle 3.
That's it. So who won? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But before we wrap everything up, big news.
Big news.
We are on the YouTubes.
This should be on YouTube if you want to see us for some reason. If you think our voices are sexy enough to go check out what it actually looks like, go ahead, be disappointed on the internet and look at it.
Yeah.
Or be like, whoa, this is like their voices are so gross. I can't believe they look this good.
I can't believe they're so hot.
So check us out. Yeah, we're on YouTube.
In canon, the only thing that determines if a man is attractive or not in canon.
The ring. So we have one hot guy being Peter. He's married. I'm still horridly ugly, getting married in October, and then I could finally be attractive.
Yeah. That's it. But until then, you're going to have to deal with Brendan's ugly face.
Until then, deal with my ugly face. We'll see you next episode.
Bye.
Bye, Hot Peter. I don't know if we'll ever have a solid ending. It's going to have to be, I guess it's different every time. That's how we end, is by saying some nonsense that makes no sense.
I mean,
we could decide on an official ending. But
we did
now it's almost an
for
ending.
a little bit.